Hi, I'm Ginger, and I'm sharing from the Holy Bible, King James Version. And this is coming from 1 Timothy chapter 5. It's about widows. We'll start at verse 3. Honor widows that are widows indeed. And this is going to go into how old they should be, what type of a woman they should be, and etc. But if any widow have children or nephews, let them learn first to show piety at home and to requite their parents, for that is good and acceptable before God. Now she that is a widow indeed and desolate trusteth in God, and continueth in supplications and prayers night and day. So when you see an elderly widow, where of course their spouse has died and they now are alone, and they are elderly and they're not trying to go hop in the bed with somebody, we can help them. But if they are just wanting to be lustful and, you know, hop in the bed with someone, we're not to help those ones. We're not to help those ones. Okay? So let's go on. Now she that is a widow indeed and desolate trusteth in God, and continueth in supplication and prayers night and day. But she that liveth in pleasure is dead while she liveth. So there are some younger widows that not everybody is going to serve God, sadly. Some of them are going to be lustful, and they're going to want to hop in the bed with someone, and they're going to be driven by the lusts of the flesh. And this is talking about those type of people in this verse. They are dead while they liveth. They're walking dead people. They're living for the flesh. They should be praying. They should be seeking God night and day. They should be saying, God, I'm going to trust you. What can I do with my life? And these things give in charge, that they may be blameless. But if any provide not for his own, and especially for those of his own house, he hath denied the faith, and is worse than an infidel. Let not a widow be taken into the number under threescore years old, having been the wife of one man. So, this is talking about a person that did not remarry. If you remarried and you become a widow, it's talking about that those are not the widows we are supposed to help. We're supposed to help the ones that was married one time and then they lost their spouse, and now they're elderly and poor, and they need our help, and they're not out trying to hop in bed with them. Now, if it is a young widow, it's not a sin for them to remarry, or even if it is an elderly woman who has become a widow, whether they're a young widow or an old widow, they can remarry because the first spouse did die, according to Romans 7:3. So they just need to be prayerful and make sure they're not doing it for the wrong reasons, and make sure that if they do get married, it is a Christian. Let not a widow be taken into the number under threescore years old, having been the wife of one man, well reported of for good works. If she have brought up children, if she have lodged strangers, if she have washed the saints' feet, if she have relieved the afflicted, if she have diligently followed every good work. So this is talking about a woman of God, a woman who has prayed, a woman who has reared children, a woman who has served people, washed the saints' feet. But the younger widows refused, for when they have begun to wax wanton against Christ, they will marry, having damnation because they have cast off their first faith. And withal they learn to be idle, wandering about from house to house, and not only idle, but tattlers also, and busybodies, speaking things which they ought not. I will therefore that the younger women marry, bear children, guide the house, give none occasion to the adversary to speak reproachfully. So this is what I was saying, that it is not a sin for the widow to remarry, because verse 14 says that they can remarry. They should marry in Christ, they should marry a Christian, and they should marry for the right reasons. And So that is fine. If they have been widowed, they can remarry, but you cannot remarry if you are divorced. You have to stay unmarried or reconcile to your first spouse. See Romans 7:3 for that. Thank you for listening. God bless all who seek after God with all their heart, mind, soul, and strength.